Welcome everybody. Welcome to Valencia. We're going to start now. Why are we here? Why did you all come, and what we're going to do today? I think it was last year that the United Nations started the Decade for Ecological Restoration. This kind of changes the narrative of conservation, or adds a new layer, because conservation is not only about conserving what we have, it's about restoring what we have lost. So this is an industry, a task that is going to be increasing and growing exponentially, and within that framework of ecological restoration, translocations, reintroductions are going to be key tools to achieve that. So that's the context where we are now. At the same time, I think this is a good moment to reflect and to kind of collect experiences from people who have been working on this for decades, because I think conservation, translocation have reached maturity. I mean, we reach age now, after several decades of working in this field. From that image of Ian Player working in capturing white rhinos in KwaZulu-Natal in the 60s, to what is happening now in the same continent, the level of sophistication and achievements is kind of staggering. So it's time to look back and kind of collect what we have learned and just to project into the future. This is a graph that was sent by the Conservation Translocation Specialist Group. This is a study about research papers about translocations. I mean, if research papers are good indicators of projects themselves, what you can see is this exponential growth from a few papers in the 70s to what that curve achieved in 2011. I'm sure that it kept growing. At the same time, I mean, why is this important? Why conservation translocations are relevant in conservation? Because what you see there are species that probably without conservation translocations, either they would be extinct or they would be extremely rare or very close to extinction. I mean, it goes from the California condor to the Hawaiian monk seal that we're going to see today, the European bison, from a dozen of animals to several thousand, the Iberian lynx, which we're going to talk today, one of the big successes of conservation in Europe in the last decades, pink pigeon in Mauritius, we're going to see today, the white rhino. I mean, very few people know that actually it was a translocation in the 60s, the one that you saw at the beginning, that kind of saved white rhinos, and all animals come from that translocation right now. The Mauritius kestrel, I think there were 6 or 10 of them left, Carl, in the wild. The ferreret in Mallorca, the scimitar oryx, it was extinct in the wild and it has been recently reintroduced. The oryx of Arabia, one of the classic cases in the beginning of translocations, and the black-footed ferret that we're going to see today. At that time, there were less than 10 animals living alive as a species. So without translocations, they wouldn't be there. I mean, there would be just photographs or nice drawings that probably will look with regret that we wouldn't be able to see again. At the same time, you can feel a change in the way that professionals perceive conservation translocations and reintroductions, even within the people working in this guild. If you look at the guidelines, the first ones that came out in the last century, if you read at them, they present like, wow, this is very complicated. Okay, watch out. You have to do this and that, because if not, it's going to fail. And still people keep kind of quoting Griffith et al. From the 80s that said that translocations in general, they failed. But the thing is, we learn a lot from since then. And if you look at the new guidelines, something happened. And they tell you, okay, this is something complicated, this is complex, but it's feasible. I mean, other people have done it. So there's been a change from, wow, this is impossible, just do it when you are totally desperate, or no, this is something that is happening, just do it right. It can be done. Translocations in general, you will see the history. They started with hunting and fishing species, something that the people will shoot or fish that we could use. including translocation of exotic species into rivers, with disastrous effects. To, in the end of the last century, a big focus on endangered species recovery. So it went from something that we could use to something that was very scarce and that we needed to save. And it was very focused on the species and the population and saving them from extinction. And something that has been growing, especially in this century, is doing translocation to restore ecological roles. And that's an example of bringing Aldabra tortoises, that you will see today, to Mauritius, which is introducing an exotic species in an island so they will play the ecological role of an extinct species. There's no way they could have the original one. It's gone. So it's, okay, we're going to introduce the most similar one because we need that ecological role because larger tortoises are the mega herbivores of those islands. So you see that trend. And that trend, all these groups now are overlapping now and competing for attention, making alliances, and fighting with each other, which makes things, I mean, there's more potential for collaboration and there's much more potential for conflict. And you're going to see that during these 2 days. The thing is, there's never been a more urgent need and better opportunities to apply conservation translocations. The extinction crisis keeps going on. Many populations are declining. We know more also about ecosystems, and we need roles that need to be fulfilled. But at the same time, there's never been so much knowledge, practical knowledge. So there's an opportunity because we know how to do it, and there's an urgency because we are in the middle of this extinction crisis. So we thought that this was the time to gather all this practical experience and to project it into the future, and especially see what happens in different contexts. What you're going to see is a very broad view. We professionals tend to focus in our species, our ecosystem, our region, our country. So what we're going to do is open our minds and see what happens in other places and see differences and parallels and maybe different ways to act that we never thought about because that wasn't part of our little box on the way we do things in our place or in our institution or with our species. So what's our destination for these 3 days? What do we want to achieve with this meeting? First, we want to learn. I mean, someone was asking me yesterday why I got into this and why I decided to do this. And I think the first answer was because I'm curious and I want to learn. I mean, just having the opportunity of gathering all these minds together and listening to them and seeing patterns is just a trip in itself. It's amazing. So we came here to learn. Many people say, I don't know if I want to go because I'm not going to present. No, this is different. This is not about everybody presenting what we do. It's about hearing other people and learning from them. We want to inspire. We want to show that, yes, we can. I mean, that something is difficult or complicated doesn't mean that it's impossible. So there's lots of stuff to do. We can learn from other people. And yes, we can. It can be done. Not always, not in all contexts, not everything, but many things can be done. And we want to connect people. That's why there is no online version of this meeting. I mean, I think we all had our overdose of Zoom meetings for the last 2 years. So this was the time to just see each other, to have a space, to have a beer, to have coffee, to have paella Wednesday, and just connect with each other, make plans, exchange information. So that's the other goal. And the other, finally, we want to celebrate. We want to celebrate our work. I mean, most of us, either we're in the field or we spend lots of time in front of a computer or of a cell phone answering things, with lots of stress. But I think it's time to celebrate. I mean, here, there are people who are heroes, who have saved the species from extinction, who have restored ecosystems. So we should be proud about it, and we should celebrate, at least for 2 days. So just we can lay down the computer and just listen to other people and say, okay, we have a great profession, celebrate. That's why we're going to have a party on Tuesday, okay? So those are the 4 goals. That's our destination. So the roadmap to get there. The first thing is this is not a scientific congress. That was hard to explain to many people. Okay, scientific congress typically has many short presentations with the same structure. You have a question, you have methods, you have an answer, and typically you report what you've seen. Lots of many small things. What we want to do is to have few of large things. Okay, so at the same time, the people who are going to be talking today, because they are practitioners, all of them have scientific training. Most of them have PhDs, but they are not limited by science. They use science, and they use other sources of knowledge and other sources of inspiration. So the structure is not going to be the typical of a scientific congress. We want to do something different. There are scientific congresses for introductions. There's been 2 in Chicago, and it looks like there's going to be one in Australia next year, in Perth. Yeah. So we don't want to occupy that niche. That niche is already occupied. So how are we going to achieve this? So we're going to do 2 things. We're going to have like in-depth interviews and presentations. I say interview because the format is I'm going to be asking questions to the people and they're going to be answered. They have their PowerPoints and their slides, but it's going to be more like a conversation. And new questions will come out and we will improvise. Okay, so it's in-depth analysis from different continents. But at the same time, we want to promote person-to-person conversations. That's why we created the document that we send you with contacts of people. So we want to provide a space after the sessions so that the people can talk and exchange ideas. So we want to create that room, because in the typical scientific congress, there's lots of presentations. People get absolutely exhausted. By the time they go and talk in the coffee, they have 10 minutes. So we want to try to create more space for that. So at the end, this is more about reflection than about reporting. One of the typical things we do as conservationists, either if we work in NGOs or we work in governments, is we have 10 minutes and we say, this is what we've done, blah, 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 blah. These are our results. This is how great we are. So what? What did we learn? Which were the challenges? Because we know it's complicated. Why don't we share those things? Which were the failures? So it is more about reflecting than about reporting. Okay, so the roadmap today, we're going to start with Europe. Then we're going to move to North America. So we're going to start from here, closer to home, to where we're based today. We move to Australia, and then to Oceanic Islands, which in themselves, they are not a continent, but they have very specific characteristics. Any small islands, as you will see, they are very different from Australia as a large island or any continent. Tuesday, we start with Africa, and then we go to India and Argentina, which, as you will see, they've been heavily influenced by Africa. And this is something interesting. I mean, both countries, they learn from the Africans, and they are getting information from them, and they are applying that to their own context. Then we're going to have conclusions based on what we have talked, and we will have all the translocation maestros here. Each one will share the ideas that they already had here before coming here and what they learned here. 5 ideas from each one. And then, very important, dinner and party. I mean, it said gala dinner. I prefer to say dinner and party. This is not formal. We're going to meet in a beautiful restaurant that the oceanographic has here, very open space. There's a DJ, there's music, there's going to be drinks, and the idea is celebrate. And so whoever wants to be there talking about very, very professional things can do it, and whoever just wants to dance, you dance, because you came here to celebrate. That's part of our mission. On Wednesday, we stop with these sessions. I mean, we stop giving you information, but you have a whole day just to interact. So from 9 to 12, as you see here, there's going to be a space, a very nice space, where people can bring books, things that you want to share with people, books that you want to sell, wherever. You want to have a coffee with someone, so you have time to just talk to people, or you can even just walk through the aquarium and look at it while you're having a conversation. It's a great opportunity to see the aquarium for free. Great. So you can do that. And then we take a bus, we go to La Albufera, which is one of Spain's most important wetlands, and it belongs to the city of Valencia. That's very interesting. And then we have paella. I mean, that's what else could we do? And then, but the whole day is about just being together, sharing ideas, enjoying each other's. Okay. So who is our crew in this trip? The crew is you. I mean, the idea is to break the border between audience and speakers, even though I will be managing the energy and the time, and probably it won't be the kind of place where there's going to be many questions. The idea is that those conversations, and specifically technical questions, are asked outside with the coffee and person to person, okay? So we are like 105 people, 110. More than 10 people in this group, they have practical experience in translocations. They went through challenges, problems, they learn about it, they achieve things. So at least we have over 1,000 years of experience here, stored here in these seats. So this is the crew. So there are some captain or whatever and officials, but we are all part of the crew. And there are also a few philanthropists, there are communicators, people who wanted to share this to other people. So there's a mix of people. We go to acknowledgements. Okay, this is if you want to ask about that later, this is a good example of how to do that, how to do something kind of complicated without money. What you do is you convince lots of people, and each one they put a little thing. So first, thank you, Oceanographic. Thank you very much, because you believe in this. I mean, I was talking to Danny, and this could have happened in Frankfurt or Chester or other areas in Europe. I'm very happy that it's happening in Valencia, okay, in my hometown. I'm from here. So, I mean, that's because you believed in it, and the place is amazing, so thank you very much. I mean, I can't think of a better place. When you are in the party and you will see the flamingos in front of you, you will see how good the place is for a meeting like this. And then Fundación Biodiversidad for helping us with the translation, and all the organizations that help it with the speakers. I mean, Turner Endangered Species Fund, this is a secret, Mike Phillips is not coming. He couldn't come. He had to attend the board meeting of Turner Species Endangered Species Fund, but he sent an amazing video. You will like it. So thank you to them, to, I think it's Wildlife Conservation Network. Marcus Hofmeyer is flying from Victoria Falls today. He's coming later. Wildlife Conservation, Australian Wildlife Conservancy, the IUCN Group, Rewilding Europe, Rewilding Argentina, Fundación Global Nature, I work for them, and they allowed me to use that time. Rewilding Spain, that is helping to bring some people here. So if you can get enough people to put a little thing, you can do something quite big. And I think that's a good message to start, because at the end, conservation is about partnership and many people kind of joining in. And you're going to see examples of that. And with that, I finish my part, and we start with the European session. Thanks a lot.